We are live. Excellent. Glad to have you here. Welcome to another Medical Monday and another episode of Should You Take That Case, our medical case screening discussion. And our goal, as always, is to uh, be a resource for legal professionals, ones that work with or advocate for the injured, and we share our experiences and insights gained while pursuing those medical cases. Hello again. I'm your host, Lisa Wade, legal nurse consultant, owner of Wade Nurse Consultants, and the creator of our private LinkedIn community, Attorney Medical Records Resource Group. There they are. Excellent. Come look and join us in LinkedIn. That's where we get all of our attorney guests that we are having on our show. I consider this time an opportunity to get comfortable with each other and get to know one another a little bit better. And that's what we're going to do today with our guest, Diego Vargas. But first, let's head over to our chat, our comment section, and see who, if anyone, is visiting us live today. If you are live or catching us on the replay, I just want to say hello and welcome. If you're visiting today live and you are an attorney, please put an A in that comment box so we can see you and say hello. If you are a new member of our LinkedIn group, like Wendy Samuelson, uh, just put an A in that chat. And if you are a part of Women Owned Law, that's a wonderful group of women um, attorneys, paralegals, or female owned legal businesses, entrepreneurs. Put a W in that chat so we can say hello to you and thank you for coming. Oh, and if you are a paralegal, put a P in that chat so we can see you again and say hello. Thank you all for coming or catching us on the replay, taking your precious time out of your busy days to say hello and get to know us. And now we're going to get over to our guest for today, Diego Vargas from Bellevue, Washington. And I'm going to introduce him right now. Now, um, Bellevue criminal defense lawyer Diego Vargas has been repeatedly recognized as a Washington super lawyer by judges, prosecutors, peers, and clients. With over 20 years of legal experience, Diego focuses his practice exclusively on representing people accused of DUI, vehicular homicide, vehicular assault, boating under the influence, homicide by watercraft, assault by watercraft, and other criminal offenses. Diego's cases have been featured on Dateline NBC, The Today Show, and local news programs. And now I'm going to bring to you, in just a second, there's Diego Vargas. Welcome, Diego.
Hi, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Oh, it is. It's wonderfully a pleasure having you. Um, and you did tell me before, Washington State, the weather is a little cloudy right now.
Cloudy and rainy right now. Typical Seattle weather.
Typical. Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you're here. It's wonderful to have you here to give us and share your insights on your vehicular and boating and other criminal offense type cases. But before we get into that, if you don't mind, I just want to find out a little bit more about you. If you could share how you got into law, how you got into the area of law that you're focused on, just tell us a little bit about your journey.
Oh, sure. It's pretty easy. Um, I think I wanted to be a criminal defense lawyer since the time I was a child. A lot of kids grow up wanting to be a baseball player or a football player. I was a weird kid and wanted to grow up to be Perry Mason. Um, I don't know where it really came from. It was just something I wanted. I think part of it has to do because I grew up in a very poor family in a very poor neighborhood. The only one of my family members to graduate high school on time or to graduate high school, and to go to college and that sort of thing. And I think what I was really looking for was power, the ability to protect myself and to protect others in a society that kind of overruns people from lower economic families. So I think that's why I wanted to become a lawyer. I think it was always innate, wanting to fight for other people.
Hmm. Excellent. Well, sounds like you have a strong sense of justice.
Very strong sense of justice. I hate something when it feels unfair or when it looks unfair.
Hmm.
So yeah, that really drives me.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to tell you, I like Perry Mason. Perry Mason was cool. So, you can't get cooler than Perry Mason. uh, and Matlock, but that's a
Yeah.
whole, that's a whole nother decade. So,
Yeah.
and next, I'm just trying to find out if you can share with us what goes into or factors into the kind of cases that you take. How do you
Oh yeah.
decide to take them, not take them, refer them out?
Yeah, I pretty much take any type of criminal case except sex-related cases. I don't like handling cases involving rape or that sort of thing. It's just a personal uh, preference. But a lot of my cases are medically related. A lot of cases in Washington, depending on the level of injuries, it could be an exacerbating factor in the case. For example, vehicular assault is a case. Basically, it's a DUI where there's a crash, and the impaired person's driving was a proximate cause of the collision, and it has to result in what's called substantial bodily harm under the statute. And what that means is a temporary but substantial disfigurement or fracture or the temporary but substantial loss or use or impairment of the function of any body part or organ. And so, reviewing medical records when someone's gone to the hospital to get checked out for injuries is crucial to those types of cases to make sure their perceived injuries or alleged injuries meet the threshold of the statute. So it's very common for me to have those. What makes the decision if I'm going to take the case? I have to like the client. I have to, if it's somebody I just get a bad feeling for, I just won't take it. I follow my gut and my intuition on that to a great extent, and otherwise, one of the reasons I focus in this practice is when I was in high school, one of my best friends killed one of my other good friends in an accident. She was impaired. They were both attending a party. They got into a bad collision. One of my friends died as a result, and the other friend was prosecuted for it. And, but for the fact that I was at work that day, I probably would have been in the car with them. And so, yeah, so I have a very, I've seen the way cases like this can destroy both families. It goes beyond just the loss of an individual, but it goes to the destruction of family members. And vehicular homicide, vehicular assault cases, about 60% of those cases are single car accidents that result in the death or substantial bodily harm to a friend or family member most often.
Mm-hmm. Oh my. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have some really deep, important personal experiences that support how you got to be the attorney that you are.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it's I think we're all kind of the products of our childhood and our upbringing, and I think it has a great influence on what we decide to do and excuse me, how we decide to do it. And certainly in my case, it's had a tremendous impact on my career and what I do um, in my career.
Well, well, thank goodness that you're in the position you're in, taking care of and making sure justice gets parceled out the way it should in those circumstances. So, well, when those medical records come up, and there could be bunches of them, tons and tons of pages, do you have a process or a regular routine to sort through them and get the information that you need?
Yeah, it really depends on the type of case. In a vehicular homicide case, it's much less necessary because typically the person didn't have any contributing factors. It's just the impact of the collision that kills them in these types of cases, or the conduct of another individual that has resulted in their death. For the injuries, it's pretty extensive to review the records, and if I can't make heads or tails of those records myself, then I will try to bring in an expert to review them, either a doctor or a nurse consultant to review the medical records, go over them with me, and explain to me what happened, because it's crucial to the cases and the defense.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And what, if anything, do you find the most difficult, the most puzzling, the most bothersome inside of those medical records when they do pop up?
Doctors' penmanship, I think, is the worst thing. Trying to read what they're writing sometimes is very difficult. And it's amazing how either a nurse or doctor consultant can review those records and make heads or tails of that penmanship. That sometimes I just cannot really make heads or tails of, and get someone that is used to those types of injuries and what would be the normal vernacular used to express the doctor's opinions, and how they can break it down and actually translate those records when I can't. Really, it's like reading hieroglyphics sometimes. It's kind of amazing.
It's true. I do understand. I worked in the doctor's office for a little bit, so I definitely getting used to penmanship or not so penmanship. It can be difficult. And last question: what advice do you have for any new or veteran attorneys that work with those types of cases that have medical documentation? What kind of advice do you have for them on whether they should or shouldn't take those cases, or how to manage them when they do?
Well, the advice I have is, if you have difficulty understanding the medical records, do not hesitate to get an expert involved who can help you with it. It can make a tremendous difference in your client's case, being absolutely 100% clear on what those records indicate, especially if you're going to go into a deposition or witness interview where you want to contradict the expert or the practitioner with their own prior statements that they put in writing. Don't just rely on them to translate it for you. Get your own independent expert to do it, because you may miss something key by relying on the person who actually wrote the document themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to have somebody to bounce those questions off of. If you don't completely understand, or have somebody give you an explanation in plain human language that you can communicate to judges and juries alike. So
absolutely,
that's good. That you've got a good plan. And Diego, I'm so glad that you are here with us, sharing all your insights in these vehicular accident cases, and making sure you're there parceling, making sure justice gets parceled out the way it's supposed to. And I'm glad to have you out there doing what you do.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, well, let's just check and see before you scoot away. We have any comments or any questions? Time for a question and answer, Q&A.
Sure.
If anybody is out there, even if they're live or if they're catching us on the replay, just put your questions, get them together, put them in the comment section, and Diego will answer them live. Or if you're catching on the replay, his contact information is inside of the description box in this YouTube channel, so you can reach out and ask those questions directly. And while anybody, if they're out there getting their questions together, while you're doing that, we're going to take a little tiny commercial break and have our sponsor talk to you, which is Wade Nurse Consultants. Now, everyone is not always completely clear about what legal nurse consultants do, so I'll make it clear for you quick today. At Wade Nurse Consultants, it's all about review, research, and roadmaps. When we review medical records, we summarize and translate that information into human type language, easily understood by judges and juries. When we research, we complete medical literature searches regarding topics attorneys may not be completely familiar with, or they may need a little more in depth detail. And we create roadmaps for injured clients in the form of life care plans detailing their future medical needs over their lifetimes, including estimated costs of that care. To recap, legal nurse consultants at Wade Nurse Consultants are all about review, research, and roadmaps. So now schedule a 15-minute medical case strategy call by clicking the calendar link, which will show up in the comments or in the description box of this YouTube channel so we can chat. And now let's get back to question and answers with Diego. Let's see. We don't have any at the moment, Diego.
All right, Lisa.
I think we're winding up for right now. You
Right.
just it's been wonderful having you. Will you come again?
Certainly, anytime.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm glad. And since we're winding up and I don't see any questions right now, I thank Diego for coming and sharing all of his insights with his cases and insights about him. And he'll come again. So, as a reminder, in the meantime, please, everybody, like our show, subscribe to this channel. And if you have any legal nurse consulting questions, email me, Lisa at wadenurseconsultants.com. And watch us next week when our guest will be Claudia Yang from Atlanta. Catch us on the 21st. Next Monday, 5:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Should You Take That Case? Thanks for coming. Bye.
Thanks, Lisa. Take care.